Okay. I hope the following presentation actually may give you a perspective into the recruitment dynamics from various perspectives. I'm sure you can take something away if you're an employer, hopefully some insight how to attract and retain talent. If you happen to be a job seeker, something we all are at one point in our life, it may help you to understand how the dynamics in the recruitment industry work. And if you happen to be in the recruitment industry yourself and try to sell recruitment, it hopefully gives you some good arguments and some insight about the bigger picture. The competition for talent has not become easier, especially during economic challenging times. What happens is that great talent is retained because we all want to keep these people who add value to our company, and we rather lose those who are not performing that well. So the opposite has happened. Great performers who add value are being treasured, and those who underperform are the first ones to go if the ship is sinking, which is not always the case, but you always need to focus on your good performers. And that's why finding talent has not become easier. It has indeed become more difficult. There's no question about why companies need the best people they can get, because we all know our organizations are just as good as the weakest link. And in order to achieve our goals, we need achievers. That's what we need, and that's what good people are. Companies who employ great talent usually know it and retain it. It is no accident that there are beauty contests among UK's best companies to work for, and you all know the ranking lists that are published in the Financial Times or other places, where you find in the leading league names like KPMG, O2 or Carphone Warehouse. They invest an awful lot to attract talent, and they offer such things as in-house health clubs, nurseries, shareholder options. But you don't need to be rich and be a very big company to be able to attract and afford good talent. That's the good news. Also amongst UK's best companies to work for, there are 100 small and medium-sized companies, such as the architects firm Stephen George, or Digital Window, a marketing firm with just over 60 staff, or even a charity, which is very interesting because charities cannot offer anything but motivation, recognition and a nice place to work. So you see that being a good employer, being able to attract good talent, does not necessarily have to do with spending a lot of money on salaries or other benefits. What it has to do with, we look at in a minute. So the good news is that money is not everything, but the bad news is that it's still a hard piece of work to find those great employees out there and to make them want to change and to make them want to work for you if they are ready to change. So, the question is, as a company on your own, as an HR person, would you know how to do that? Or would you rather be better off with the help of some experts? Well, one of the best ways to develop a highly skilled workforce is to avoid losing them in the first place. There's a lot of there is a lot of ground to be made up. Retention rates in Britain are still the worst in Europe or in the international comparison. But if you're aware of this, in UK companies are losing 20% of their staff in any given year, compared to 10% in Germany, 7% in Switzerland, or 14%, which is the worldwide average. Interesting observation, isn't it? The shocking fact, the fact that shocks me most, is these statements, because there are remedials for it that wouldn't cost you a penny. Taking time and showing interest in one's employees should be a given, and yet British employers seem not to bother, or being too lazy, or not take enough time for their stuff. I don't know what it is. But you know, it's a habit that literally comes back and bites you in your wallet. Training opportunities don't have to cost a lot because there are government schemes and grants available if you just look for them. If you read these questions behind me, it's really a 20-second self-assessment for employers that you can ask yourself. I'm not going to ask anyone if you actually do this, because I know our company included most of the times the result is rather embarrassing. But I think it could be a helpful reminder actually for anyone who employs or manages stuff. Because don't forget, our most important, most expensive asset is always our intellectual capital. Those of you who know me, I work a lot in turnaround situations, and the biggest cost section after the lease is always your personnel. So it's a good idea to make the best and keep your personnel, because that's what you pay for very dearly. If you compare the cost and the trouble of recruiting, it becomes very clear that taking preventative care is the best investment in a company of any size. Even if you find someone instantly of the same or a better caliber than the one you lose, in almost all cases you will end up paying a higher salary for the newcomer than to the leaver, except situations like the current, where, as I pointed out correctly, everything is a little bit negotiable. But as a rule, people you hired 10 years ago, even with salary increases, are cheaper than someone you hire today under today's circumstances. And even if you hire someone and it's a great caliber, it's still the question whether it works out or not. And everyone who ever employed someone will have had the experience that you think you have someone great, who's loyal, will stay on board, only to lose them much too soon. Yes. While you might find comfort in the fact that losing a member of staff can cost as little as £4,700, and that's a figure from the CIPD, the UK average is still £30,000. Now you wonder, why £30,000, where does this come from? Well, it's not just the salary you lose, it's not just the person you lose that you have to recruit, and there are recruitment costs. In the best and cheapest way, it's some advertisement you pay to the newspaper. In the most expensive way, it can be a headhunter. If you consider potential claims for compensation, lost business, lost momentum, the cost for training and inducting new people, and all the executive time that goes into recruitment, that quickly adds up to a lot of money. And this is exactly where you can control your risk and leverage it, by making your problem to someone else's problem. Right, because when I say making your problem someone else's problem, there are lots of pros and cons why you can use a recruiter or a consultant or not. But one undeniable fact is the fact that if you use a recruiter, he's giving you a guarantee. Usually, if it doesn't work out with your employee, the recruiter finds the replacement for you for free. If you're on your own, you just start spending for the whole process over again. And I think that's a very strong point. And if you can find no other benefit than that, it's still usually worthwhile to look at using recruiters as an option. Let me give you a few tips how to work best with agencies. First of all, negotiate. We have a natural tendency not to negotiate in this country, while practically everything is actually negotiable, including taxes, believe it or not. Especially now, it's the time to practice these skills. Because everyone wants to catch a deal, and there's always a way to accommodate any budgets. So before throwing it out and walking away, I encourage you to negotiate. And that goes for any situation in life, because very often you get what you want if you just say what it is you want to spend or give in return. Also, it's very important that actually jobs are sold. Look at this example. This is a very typical example of an everyday job advert. It's all talk about what the company wants, but not a single word turns into radio station YIFM. And if anybody doesn't know what radio station that is, it's called What's in it for me. Because any job seeker who reads adverts scans them, and he wants to know what's in it for him or for her.